The Chrisley family's quotes about Todd and Julie going to prison after fraud sentencing. A close-knit group. The Chrisley family is standing by Todd and Julie Chrisley as the pair prepare to head to prison after receiving their sentences in their fraud case. On November 21st, the Chrisley Knows Best stars were sentenced to a combined 19 years in prison, with Todd, 53, serving 12 years and Julie, 49, receiving 7 years. Both reality stars also must serve 16 months of probation. Despite the news, the pair remain hopeful for their future. Yesterday was a difficult day for the Chrisley family. But Todd and Julie are people of faith, and that faith gives them strength as they appeal their convictions, the couple's attorney exclusively told Us Weekly on November 22. Their trial was marred by serious and repeated errors, including the government lying to jurors about what taxes the couple paid. Based on these issues, we are optimistic about the road ahead. The USA Network personalities. A legal expert told us on November 22, however, that the growing up Chrisley stars may not have the easiest time with their appeal. I don't think this appeal has much chance of success, Nima Rahmani exclusively told us one day after Todd and Julie received their sentencing. I understand that they're blaming their former employee Mark Braddock, but there's tons of evidence of things that they did, including what they did for the grand jury, trying to obstruct justice. And the problem with an appeal is you really need to appeal some sort of legal error, a mistake that the judge made. It's very hard to appeal a question of fact, a jury's finding. Todd and Julie share 3 children, daughter Savannah and sons Chase and Grayson. Todd is also the father of daughter Lindsay and son Kyle, whom he shares with ex-wife Teresa Terry. Todd is also the guardian of his granddaughter Chloe. Savannah, for her part, revealed during an episode of her Unlocked podcast that she had taken custody of Grayson and Chloe after the news of her parents' fate was announced. I come home Tuesday, and I have custody of a 16-year-old and a 10-year-old, and we spend our first Thanksgiving not as a family, she said on the November 21 episode of her podcast while reflecting on her new normal. I've never been away from my family for the holidays. Keep reading to see what the Chrisley family has had to say about Julie and Todd going to prison. Todd and Julie Chrisley, while the couple received a combined sentence of 19 years in prison, they remain optimistic for the future and their faith gives them strength as they appeal their convictions. They later spoke out about their faith during a November 2022 podcast episode. Age is just a number, and since we don't know our death date, we have to live every day as if it's our last, Julie said during the November 30, 2022, episode of the Chrisley Confessions podcast, reading a quote by author Priscilla Shirer. Todd, for his part, added, "Yesterday doesn't matter. Today is what we have. Tomorrow belongs to God, because we're not promised tomorrow," he said. "What God calls us through, He will walk us through." During a January 2023 episode of the couple's podcast, Julie opened up about her biggest concerns heading into their respective sentences. "There is the possibility of my husband and I being separated," she said. "But there's a difference between my husband and I being separated for a period of time and having to say goodbye forever. It almost makes me feel ashamed that I'm even worried. I think it puts things into perspective for me because we all think our hard is the hardest thing." Savannah Chrisley, after hearing news of her parents' sentencing, the Sassy by Savannah founder shared a cryptic post containing a screenshot of a biblical message on her social media.